My mother didn't just yell at me. She delivered a verdict. You have 48 hours to get your things out. This house belongs to your sister now. No warning, no explanation. Just a sentence sharp enough to cut the air in two. I remember staring at her, waiting for the punchline that never came. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I simply went quiet. The kind of quiet that makes people nervous because they can't predict what comes next. And 2 days later, when my sister walked through that same doorway, she learned that silence can be far more dangerous than rage. I grew up in that house. Every creak of the floorboards, every fading photograph on the walls, every chipped corner of the banister held a piece of my childhood. To outsiders it looked like a normal family home. To me it was a maze constructed entirely out of expectations. If you walked in on any given morning, you'd hear the hum of the ancient coffee maker my dad refused to replace and smell the lavender cleaner Mom used on every surface, as if she could scrub chaos into submission. I was the oldest, which in our family didn't mean leader, it meant default problem solver. From the time I was 16, every document, every fine, every confusing piece of mail somehow landed on my desk. Mom called it being responsible. Dad called it having a good head on your shoulders. What they really meant was, we don't want to deal with this, give it to Ashley. And because I desperately wanted to belong, I kept doing it. Then there was Lauren, my younger sister. Lauren floated through life the way glitter floats through the air. Bright, pretty, and impossible to ignore. Mom adored her. Dad bragged about her wellness brand to anyone who would listen. Even though Lauren lived on borrowed money and borrowed optimism, whenever I pointed out the imbalance, Mom gave me that look, the one that said I was jealous just for wanting fairness. The house reflected that same unspoken hierarchy. Lauren's room was twice the size of mine. Painted soft cream with curtains she'd picked out on a special shopping trip with Mom. My room still had the same faded blue paint from middle school. I didn't complain. I'd learned early that complaining only made Mom sigh dramatically and ask why I couldn't just be happy for my sister. Still, that house was the closest thing I had to stability. I came home to it after long days at the office, hung my jacket on the same hook I'd used since high school, and let the quiet settle over me like a blanket. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine in the way memories make something yours. So when Mom announced that the house now belonged to Lauren, it wasn't just property she was handing away. It was my entire history, tossed aside as casually as rearranging furniture. But the truth is, I should have seen it coming. The offhand comments, the decisions made without me, the way Lauren talked about future plans like she already owned the place. Looking back, the signs weren't subtle, they were neon. I just didn't realize how close they were to becoming reality until the morning everything snapped. The shift didn't happen overnight. It arrived in small pieces, forgettable on their own, unmistakable when assembled. Mom started calling the house our future investment. Dad talked about streamlining responsibilities, which somehow always translated to giving more to me and less to Lauren. And Lauren, with her endless vision boards and sunlit selfies, began filming in rooms she'd never bothered with before, casually telling her followers, "One day this entire space is going to be transformed. One day." She said it like a promise, or a claim. At first I brushed it off. Lauren had always exaggerated. But then I noticed the documents left on the dining room table. Property tax papers, home valuation notes scribbled in Mom's handwriting, renovation ideas with Lauren's looping signature in the margins. One night when I came home from work, all three of them went silent the moment I walked in. Mom folded the papers too quickly. Dad cleared his throat. Lauren flashed a smile too bright to be genuine. "We were just discussing possibilities," Mom said when I asked. "Possibilities for what?" She waved a hand. "Grown-up things. Don't worry about it." That was her favorite way to dismiss me, turning adulthood into an exclusive club I apparently hadn't been invited to, despite being the one who'd handled every legal and financial mess the family ever created. The tension seeped into the walls. Lauren started suggesting updates she wanted. Mom began rearranging furniture without asking. One afternoon I came home to find Lauren filming another wellness video in the living room, claiming she had big plans for the property. When I confronted her later, she just shrugged. "Relax, Ash. You get so attached to things. This house has potential." "It's Mom and Dad's house," I corrected. Lauren smiled. "Is it?" The turning point came on a morning so ordinary it made the blow worse. I was heading out for work when I found an envelope slipped under my bedroom door. Inside was Lauren's printed schedule. Client sessions, filming days, energy retreats. All booked in our house, none of them discussed with me. At the bottom in Mom's handwriting, "We'll adjust your room soon." That night I confronted Mom. Why is Lauren planning events here? Why is she talking like she already owns the place? Mom didn't look up from her tea. She needs space for her business. She contributes to this family in her own way. And I don't. Finally she met my eyes. "You're stable, Ashley. You don't need as much." There it was, the sentence that sliced through years of buried resentment. In their minds, my reliability made me expendable. That was the moment everything snapped. I realized this wasn't miscommunication or simple favoritism. It was a plan, and I had never been part of it. The breaking point came 2 mornings later. The day started normally enough. I walked downstairs expecting the usual clatter of dishes and the faint scent of lavender cleaner. Instead, I found all my belongings, clothes, books, framed photos, stacked in boxes by the front door. Lauren stood nearby under her ring light, recording a video about new beginnings and embracing the next chapter. My next chapter apparently didn't include a bed. Before I could speak, Mom appeared from the kitchen. She didn't look startled or guilty. She looked rehearsed. "You have 48 hours to get your stuff out," she said. "This house is your sister's now." It should have shattered me. Instead, something inside went perfectly, terrifyingly quiet. I didn't shout. I didn't remind her of the years I'd spent doing their taxes, drafting their contracts, sorting every bill. I just looked at the boxes, then at Lauren's satisfied little smile, and felt something click into place. I went upstairs, closed my door, and let the silence wrap around me like armor. If they wanted me gone so badly, fine. But I wasn't leaving empty-handed. I opened my laptop and pulled up the property records I'd helped Dad organize months earlier. Back then he claimed he just needed help getting things in order. Now the pieces fit together too perfectly. Transfers, signatures, timing notes in Mom's handwriting, documents Lauren had no business touching. The house was still legally in my parents' names, but everything pointed to a transfer they'd been orchestrating for months. I took screenshots, downloaded PDFs, and saved everything into a folder labeled Evidence. That evening Mom knocked on my door. "You're being dramatic," she said through the wood. "This is what's best for the family." Family. The word tasted like metal. I didn't answer. Silence, I was learning, could be louder than rage. 2 days later the house felt like it belonged to strangers. My boxes had been moved to the garage, neatly stacked, as if that made it kind. Lauren's car was gone. She was probably off filming or aligning her energy. Dad pretended to trim hedges that were already perfect. The whole place felt staged, like a set waiting for its new star. But I wasn't packing to leave. I was preparing to burn the stage down. That afternoon the email I'd been waiting for arrived. Confirmation of the legal consultation I'd scheduled, along with a clear summary of my rights as a legal resident. For once, the law I'd spent years wielding for everyone else was pointed in my direction. As the sun dropped behind the rooftops, Lauren pulled into the driveway wearing a pastel dress that looked straight out of a lifestyle magazine. She carried a stack of folders and walked up the steps like the world had been waiting for her grand entrance. She didn't notice me standing at the end of the hallway. She was too busy talking into her phone. "Day 1 of the transition, you guys. This place is going to be incredible once the new flooring comes in. And wait till you see the meditation loft." She stopped mid-sentence when she saw me. "Oh, you're still here." I didn't reply. She rolled her eyes. "Look, Ash, I know this is hard, but Mom and Dad are right. I have plans, real plans. This house has potential your life just doesn't need. You don't need it. I do." The cruelty wasn't in the words. It was in how casually she said them, like discussing the weather. "You think this house is yours?" I asked quietly. "It is," she said, lifting her chin. Mom said. I cut in. "Not the law." Before she could answer, the front door opened again. Mom walked in with groceries, Dad right behind her, both wearing the same expression of eager self-righteousness. Lauren straightened, backup had arrived. "Mom," she started, "can you please explain to Ashley that?" But Mom wasn't looking at Lauren. She was looking at me. "Why are you still here? We told you everything had to be out today." I held her gaze. And I told you nothing. Dad stepped forward. We don't have time for this, Ashley. People are expecting access to the house. You need to move your things so Lauren can start. Start what? I asked. Lauren exhaled dramatically. My business, Ashley. I have investors. Commitments. I can't do anything while you're still lingering. Mom slammed the grocery bag on the counter. This is ridiculous. Be an adult for once. Pack your things and leave peacefully. I reached into my bag and pulled out a thin, neat folder. Before I go anywhere, you should all see something. Lauren crossed her arms. Oh God, are you really doing this? I opened the folder and laid the pages on the counter one by one. Property records, email chains Lauren had drafted, Mom's handwritten renovation plans, and center stage. A letter confirming that no legal transfer of ownership had occurred, and that forcibly removing a resident without proper notice or cause was unlawful eviction. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. This, I said calmly, is everything you've been planning behind my back. All the evidence you left lying around or tried to hide. Proof you intended to push me out long before you had the courage to say it to my face. Mom's face hardened. You don't understand. Chloe needs, I echoed softly. That's always the excuse, isn't it? Dad tried next. You're twisting this. We're not villains. We're trying to build a legacy. By kicking out your own daughter? I asked. Silence. Lauren swallowed. It's not personal, Ash. You just don't fit the vision. I placed the final document on top. Formal notice that I was a legal resident and could not be removed without proper legal process. Any attempt otherwise could be considered harassment and illegal eviction. Dad scoffed. That's dramatic. No, I said. That's the law you've had me explain to you for 12 years. The law you assumed I'd never use on myself. Lauren looked pale. So what, you're just going to stay here forever? No, I'm leaving, I said. But on my timeline, not yours. Mom's voice cracked. You can't do this. People are coming tomorrow. We promised. That's not my problem, I replied. For the first time, Lauren looked truly scared. Ash, you're going to ruin everything. I stepped closer, not threatening, just final. I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped you from ruining me. Then came the knock. 3 firm taps. Dad opened the door expecting a delivery. Instead, a woman in a navy blazer stepped inside, introduced herself, and handed my parents an official packet. Property dispute notice, documentation requests, and an order halting all renovations, business activities, and occupancy changes until further review. Lauren's mouth actually fell open. What does this mean? It means, the woman said politely, everything in this house is frozen. No new occupants, no commercial filming, no restructuring. Nothing moves forward until the proper channels say so. Mom whispered. What did you do? Prepared, I answered. Just like you taught me. Lauren's investors pulled out within hours once word of legal complications spread. The renovation she'd hyped online became impossible. Her followers noticed the sudden silence, shaky tone in her posts, and the comments turned brutal. She had built her brand on unshakable confidence. Now she couldn't even fake it. Mom avoided me like I carried plague. Dad tried negotiating, asking if we could smooth this over. I didn't offer solutions. That wasn't my job anymore. 2 days later I packed my things, not because they forced me but because I chose to go. I signed a lease on a small apartment across the city. Clean walls, no memories clinging to the corners, no lavender cleaner in the air. When I set down the last box, a strange, peaceful quiet settled over me. For the first time in years I wasn't bracing for the next crisis. I was simply free. I still think about that house sometimes. The chipped banister, the sunlit hallway, the version of me who tried so hard to earn her place. But walking away didn't break me. It made room for the life I was always supposed to build. Justice didn't come from screaming or revenge. It came from choosing myself, drawing a line, and letting the truth speak louder than family loyalty ever did. And if any of this sounds familiar, if you've ever been the responsible one who got punished for it, you're not alone. Drop your story in the comments and hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.